Hey, what's up? Quick question here. Enjoy your content. New to your content. Really enjoying it. Here's the question. I want to talk about, you got the money muscle game frame. I
Yeah.
would love to know in your experience, which one of those was like the lagging one of them? And how did you duplicate the success you had in the other ones onto that lagging one? For me, it's it's the fitness, it's the muscles, I'm a fatty. So it's like, how do I get the success I had in the others and
Yeah.
like drag it into that one? Because that one seems to be like the heaviest, no pun intended, the heaviest one to get moving, rolling down the hill.
You're clearly an intelligent guy. How fat are you?
Oh God, a good 80 pounds overweight, I would say.
What's your height and what's your weight?
Like 6 foot and a half, 300.
Okay. So, how old are you?
Third, just turned 35.
Okay. So you're a big boy, eh? What do you do
So
for a
here-
living?
Yeah, so I used to wrestle high school, a little bit in college. So I'm like a bulky. I'm a big boy.
What weight
But,
class were you?
Wrestling stopped. Huh?
What weight class were you?
215 in high school and then heavyweight in college.
Were you a fat 215? Were you lean 215?
I was like a scale of 1 to 10, like a good 7 maybe. Like I wasn't all fat, but I was certainly not like, diced out.
Right. Well, dude, I'll tell you this, right? In my personal experience, that when it comes to weight, it's usually tied to inner game. Now, tell me, do you struggle with some self-esteem, some anxiety issues? Were your ass whooped when you were a kid? What's up?
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of family drama, a lot
Shut
of
up and
what I
take
would
my
call
money.
like maybe old world child rearing techniques utilized at the home. But it's just like, I mean, yeah, it's like also I'll start a plan and I'll like counting calories or something like that, and I'll stick to it for like a week, 2 weeks, and then it just kind of falls off the rails. I can't seem to have that prolonged dedicate like what I did with my career or whatever. Like I'm like an entrepreneur, as you would call it, or entrepreneur. Got in, just started hustling, grinding like over years and years. Now I'm doing all right, and it's like, how come I can't have that sustained dedication to doing the little things day in and day out when it comes to just being like the easiest one, just what I put in my mouth?
Well,
It's the wildest thing.
I'll tell you, because I struggled with that myself, right? So it's tied to your inner game, right? It's tied to your perception of yourself. And a lot of people, it's funny, right? People who inner game is very tied to the body, right? There's a certain level of self-hatred and a lack of self-love that you have because you actively know what you're doing is incorrect for yourself. And to top it off, you're probably using food as a soothing technique. Do you have a woman in your life, or you're a lonely person?
No, I'm married, 2 kids, the whole thing.
Is your wife fat too? I feel like she is.
No, it sucks. She's she's good.
Really?
The SMV things got a little out of whack here over the last 5 years. But I would say when we met, it was in like the best. So let me back up here. So dropped out, stopped wrestling, gained like a good 100, and then lost it all. Lost like 85-ish pounds or whatever. It was looking pretty diced and juicy, and then met my wife, and then proceeded over the last decade to gain it all back. Mainly, I mean, I don't want to scapegoat it, but it's like I was like, man, I'm so far behind in my career and my ambitions and what I want to be. It was like my sole focus was acquire resources, make money, that kind of a thing. So, and now it's like I'm sitting back and I'm like, man, 35, unhealthy. Like, how do I shift that focus? So like, no, life is great, family's great, kids are great, all that stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. How come I can't I was able to figure it out with the career thing, which I would seem is probably exponentially more difficult because there's variables that are out of my control in that. How come I can't lock it in with this food and fitness thing? And I know you're saying the inner game thing, but it's like I feel like there's a lot of ripped people out there who probably had worse situations growing up than I did.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does make sense. But the bottom line is this: this is it's inconsistency, right? And also, it is a situation where you're just like not really, you're just not really fucking, you're not really sticking to a plan as well, and you're not sticking to a plan because you don't really fucking love yourself. This is like, it's a form of self-love, and like you're not even fat, bro. You're obese. No offense. You know what I mean?
Morbid. Hashtag morbid. And like real bad.
This is tied to your frame. This frame is inner game, right? If you watched Valuetainment, when Rollo Tomasi was on there and he plagiarized Money Muscle's game frame, he gave a pretty shitty breakdown, but allow me to give the proper one, okay? So frame is your inner game. Frame is you managing the relationship with yourself. Frame is managing boundaries. Frame is how you talk to yourself and how you allow the world to engage with you. Notice how I use the words, you allow the world to engage with you.
Yep.
Not how you engage with the world.
That makes sense.
Okay? These are your rules of engagement for how you treat yourself, and then from there, how the world treats you.
Interesting. Okay. And so, like, in my world, if I'm thinking about it in those terms, all these little things, maybe it's, these delicious Thanksgiving rolls that are sitting on the counter, some of these things, those are all things that are variables that I can allow myself to interact with via my frame.
Do you know how to count calories?
I'm not forced to interact with them.
Listen here? Do you know how to count calories?
Yeah, I got the scales, I got the apps, I got the fitness watches.
All right, stop.
I've tried to
stop.
Yeah.
So this is just you like it on some level internally you hate yourself. There's you're lacking some sort of self-love. Every guy that I know who it has some kind of like extreme obesity is there's always some kind of inner game issue.
It's funny you mentioned that because I do know that one of the biggest driving forces for career-wise is always like, well, everyone thought I wasn't going to be anything. So I don't know if that's like a dark muse kind of a way to gain energy and to sustain things, but I know that most of the time I'm dipping into the dark muses when it comes to accomplishing things.
Yeah.
As opposed to the positive ones.
Well, I'll say this.
I don't know if there's some correlation there.
Yeah. The dark side is never necessarily, I mean, some people use it, and at the end of the day, use whatever you got, right? But, there are repercussions for, tapping into the dark side.
It almost fuels more of the insecurity and whatever else that underlying thing is.
Right.
But interesting. Okay. So there's some inner game. There's some childhood thing.
Yes. Listen. This all boils down to
preventing me from.
Listen. Listen to what I'm going to say. Don't just be sitting there waiting to talk. Actually listen, okay? Here's what's happening. You lack a certain amount of self-love, and you lack a certain amount of self-discipline. But this all boils down to you not loving yourself enough to do what's right. Because you know it's right, and you know you're fat, but you're not doing it. And you're not doing it because you have some kind of self-sabotage going on in your subconscious mind. So you need to work on resolving that. We talk about that in the Masculine Empowerment Network. We'll be talking about that in the first 2 weeks of January because the Masculine Empowerment Network is opening up for registration on December 29th. It's going to be a good one. Definitely consider attending and paying attention because, listen, your wife only has a certain amount of toleration of a threshold of her tolerance for you being a fat fuck. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't sound like a dummy. You know, I talked to you as soon as I started talking. I was like, man, this guy sounds smart as fuck.
That's what makes it a little more difficult, is because it's like, should be able to figure this out, dude.
No, you've already got it figured out. Listen, you already have it figured out, but internally, your subconscious mind is fucking enslaving you.
Okay. That's a good point.
But this is back to, and you see how I pinpointed it as soon as you called in. I said, were you abused as a child? Was some shit going on in your mind as a child? And you were just like, fuck, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it becomes more of like a, how do you deal with that without being like, feeling like a victim about it? You know what I mean?
You just got to get, I mean, you were a victim. You were abused. So you got to sort it out.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Well, I appreciate the work you're doing, sir. I'm so glad I found you down the RP rabbit hole.
Stay tuned, man.
The best is worth the wait, I suppose. So.
Stay tuned, buddy. We are just getting started over here. Wait until I have my proper... I don't even have proper footing under me. I haven't had proper footing under me since fucking summer. And I'm still killing it. Wait until I have fucking proper footing under me. Wait and see. Everybody just wait and see. Everybody will see.
Well, you have fun in that Gucci ski suit up on those mountains for your birthday, dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. You have a great day today. What was your name?
Have a good one. You too. Bye.
Right.
What was that?
Well,
Alan,
don't, I mean, you know, you're just getting the day started. Deeply think about what I told you, Alan. I'm right. Okay. You'll get to the bottom of it.
You are right. You have a good one. Thank you, sir.
All right. Peace out.